Good morning, students. This is JC Binoy, your SST teacher. And today, I hope you are all doing safe and are taking care of yourselves. And especially, so far, I have always spoken about taking care of your health, washing your hands. But I feel like saying today that you must take care of your family members too. Make it a point to call up your grandparents if they're not staying with you all, your family members who are far away from you all. Call up your friends, talk to them, find out how they are doing, share your thoughts and your feelings with them so that they feel better too. Okay, so I hope you are all taking care of yourselves and staying safe. Now, so far, we have taken up our lessons of history. And in history, we have seen that from the point of evolution of humans to how civilization started in India. We first saw the phases of evolution of human beings. We saw the Neolithic society was quite advanced, and the group of Neolithic people had learned to farm, but not completely. They were not completely settled. They were still nomadics. What does the word nomadic mean? Nomadic means that they travel. They move from one place to another. They don't stay permanently in the same place. Okay, so this image by now you all must be very familiar because I've shared it like so many times, correct? So this image is of the Neolithic human beings where they had learned to domesticate animals, live in small huts, and they had also started farming a little bit, not extensive farming. Okay, today what are we going to be looking at, correct? So these are some of the things that I'm sharing with you. We also saw about the Indus Valley civilization, correct? So in Indus Valley civilization, in the previous lesson, we saw that how humans of India had changed, learned to adapt, and how they had developed their society, how the Harappan civilization had grown to such an extent that they were able to lead very fulfilled lives. They had advanced quite a bit. Then we learnt about the decline of the Indus Valley civilization. What came after the Indus Valley civilization, after the Harappan society? These are the things that we are going to learn today. The name of a chapter this is the chapter 5 of history, and it is for grade 6. The name of a chapter is Vedic age. Okay, so what are we going to study about in this lesson? We're going to study about the Vedic age. Now, when I say Vedic itself, these are the different things that come to our mind. The great bath I have put up on the picture, that is to remind you how the Indus Valley civilization had brought about a lot of change in the society. But what came after the decline of the Indus Valley civilization in India? We are learning about Indian history. Okay, so this is about Vedic age, and we're going to learn everything that is related to the Vedic age in this chapter. Now, in this chapter, we'll be studying about the Vedas and understanding what the philosophy of the Vedic people were. What did they think like? What did they believe in? Those are the things that we're going to study about. Then we're going to also study about contemporary Chalcolithic culture. Contemporary means in that time, what were the rituals or the way of living. These are the things that we're going to look in during those times of Chalcolithic culture. Okay, we're also going to study, so I already spoke about the decline of the Indus Valley civilization, correct? But what came after the Indus Valley civilization? The Vedic age. Okay, now this image that I have shared, the map that I have shared of, is that of the Indus Valley civilization when it was declining. So there are many cities which I had told you about of the Harappan Valley civilization, the Indus Valley civilization. All right, so this was how extensive the Indus Valley civilization was. But what happened after that? The Indus Valley civilization completely disappeared, and all these cities that are there, all these settlements that are there, they were completely wiped off. So what replaced them, or what brought about this change? Now, we came to know about the Aryans. What we come to know about after the Indus Valley civilization is that the Aryans came to India and they settled down in our continent. The subcontinent of our Indian country is called as the subcontinent of Asia. So that is how we believe that the Aryans came. They established a new culture in the subcontinent of India, and they brought with them new traditions, new lives, new ways of living, and that completely changed it. That must have been one of the causes for the decline of the Indus Valley civilization. Now, where did these Aryans come from? Okay, who were the Aryans and where did the Aryans come from? Now, this map which I have shown you shows the route of the Aryans, the race Aryans, who must have the route they must have followed to come to India. So you can see that it begins from Europe, from the part of between Poland and so between Poland, it was the Aryan race. The Aryan race moved from Poland to Iran, and then slowly and gradually they kept moving to India. Now, why do you think they moved? Okay, so it is believed that the Aryans were pastoral. Okay, they were not completely settled, and they did not practice farming in full extent. So they were pastoral, and they basically read livelihood. So they needed different pastures. They needed more pastures. So in the hunt of pastures, they started moving with their livestock to different parts of the world. One group of the Aryans moved towards the east, and some of them moved towards the west. We are going to focus on the Aryans who moved toward the east, because they are the ones who came to India, and they established the Vedic religion, Vedic age in India, and so that is why we are going to focus on those Aryans. Okay, so the Aryans moved from Europe. As you can see, they have moved to the plateau of Iran and to India, and where they have come and settled is basically they first settled in the area where the Indus Valley civilization was. So that could be one of the reasons why Indus Valley civilization disappeared, and who came and took their place? The Aryans, and they established the Vedic age. Now, what did the Aryans do? Okay, how did they change the Indian life? Now, one of the reasons I have already told you. Now, and I've already told you that the Indo-Europeans, they are believed that they came from Europe to India looking for pastures. Now, what is the meaning of the word pastures? I told you that when you have livestock, you want to take them to you take the animals like sheep, all these cows or your cattle. You have seen these goat herds take the animals on the road. They're looking for grass. Have you seen that? They take their animals in a group, and the shepherd or the goat herd leads them to pastures or fields where they can munch on the grass. These animals can munch on the grass. So possibly over a period of time, these pastoral societies were always constantly moving towards greener pastures where they could feed their animals. That is how they moved across Europe to India. Okay. Now, this is the map. In this map, if you observe, there is an arrow which comes from the top, okay, and it comes through the Hindu Kush mountains. So it is believed that the Aryans crossed the Hindu Kush mountains to come to India, and the northern part of India, that is where they first settled. So this is the place of India, northern part of India, where the early Vedic period started. Okay, and this is approximately the rough area where the Indus Valley civilization already existed. So you have to write this down. I'm sorry I forgot to tell you all to keep a paper and pen handy. So please do that. Make notes. Which were the mountains through which the Aryans crossed and came into India? So what is the answer going to be? The answer is going to be Hindu Kush mountains. If you observe very closely in this map, you will see that there's an arrow through which the Aryans are coming in from European continent, from the Europe to India. Okay, and the area where the Aryans first settled is called as the Sapta Sindhu region. What is it called as? The Sapta Sindhu region. And they first settled here, and then they slowly started spreading all across northern India. Alright. So these are few things that you need to remember. What do you need to remember? You need to remember that the Aryans came through the Indo-Aryans, came through the Hindu Kush mountains, and they settled in the Sapta Sindhu region. okay, and they spoke the language Sanskrit. So which was the language that the Aryans spoke? Sanskrit. Alright, so they already had a language, they already had a script, which we have already learnt about, which we have seen in the Vedas. Now what are the Vedas? That is what we are going to look at right now. Okay, so the Vedas are books or scriptures written by the Aryan race, and it is basically written in the language Sanskrit. In which language are the Vedas written? In Sanskrit. And where does the word Vedas come from? It comes from the Sanskrit word Ved. Ved means knowledge. All right, so what does Ved mean? It means knowledge, and the Vedas are written in Sanskrit. The word Vedas we get from the word Sanskrit word Ved, which means knowledge. Okay, now basically there are how many Vedas? If you'll observe in the image that I've put up, you will see that there are 4 basic Vedas. Okay, so which are the Vedas? We have the Rig Veda, the Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. What are the Vedas? What are the 4 Vedas? Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. Okay, now we are going to look into what these Vedas mean and what are they teaching us and what are they telling us. So basically these Vedas are a huge source of information. Okay, we had learnt in our chapter where we had sources of history, in when, where and how we had learnt about sources of history. Alright, so the Vedas are written literary sources of history, and they tell us how the Vedic period, the people in the Vedic period lived, what were their lifestyles, what were their belief, what were their faith. Okay, all these things we come to know through the Vedas. So first we're going to look at the Rig Veda. Alright, now these Aryans were religious, they believed in gods, they prayed to gods, they prayed to different gods. So these are the early images of the gods that they prayed to. The top picture is that of the Agni god. So they believed in Agni Devta, and they prayed to, or they offered prayers to the Agni god. Apart from Agni, they also prayed to Indra, god Indra. Okay, and Indra was the warrior god, and also there was a Soma plant, which is from which a special drink was prepared. So these were the things that the Vedic people used to follow, and they used to perform these different rites and rituals. Okay, but how did they learn about this, and how do we come to know about it? We come to know through the writings of the Rig Veda. Now it is believed that the Rig Veda was written between 1500 BCE and 1000 BCE. Alright, again, as we were talking about dating in history, we had learned that BCE stands for before common era, and what does BCE stand for? It stands for before common era, and Rig Veda was written between 1500 BCE and 1000 BCE. Now what is there in the Rig Veda? Rig Veda consists a lot of small verses which are put together, which are called as hymns and or called as suktas. What is the word for the hymns? It's called the suktas. Alright, and what does sukta mean? Sukta means well said. Alright, what does the word sukta mean? Well said. So the Rig Vedas are all prayers. Alright, they're all good sayings which give you an idea of how the people in the Vedic period lived. Alright, and it also tells you the prayers which were offered to Agni god, to Indra, who was the warrior god, and also tells you about Soma, a plant from which a special drink was prepared. Now the second Veda which we had seen was the Sama Veda. Now what is the Sam Veda? Alright, so the Sam Veda is a collection of verses from the Rig Veda for liturgical purposes. Now what does liturgical mean? It means all the prayers that the priests offer, they follow certain rituals, they follow certain rules. So all these rules and regulations and all the offerings, the ways to offer the prayers, all this is given in the Rig Veda. From Rig Veda they have taken it out and formed they have composed the Sam Veda. Alright, so Sam Veda is basically a collection of verses from the Rig Veda for liturgical purposes. What does liturgical purpose mean? Liturgical means the way to offer prayers. Alright, Then comes the Yajur Veda. Okay, now Yajur Veda also contains different verses which tells you how the sacrifices have to be uh, performed in the Vedic age. All right, so how did they sacrifice? They had to offer offerings to God. Those offerings to God were called as sacrifices. Now how were these sacrifices offered? There was a process or a method to do that. So these are written in the form of prose and verse. Prose means in the form of paragraphs, and verse in the form of poetic language in the Yajur Veda. So Yajur Veda tells us the sacrificial formulae or the sacrificial methods to offer praise to the gods that I have already mentioned. Do you remember which gods the Aryans or the Vedic age prayed to? One is the Agni god, second the Indra, the warrior god, and also they had something called the som drink, which was from a plant, okay, which is mentioned in the in the Vedas. Now the last Veda that we're going to study about is the Atharva Veda, and Atharva Veda is basically more about magical magical scriptures. Okay, so it is all related to magic, and it is believed about magical charms and invocations to call gods. Okay, to you must have heard of stories where the sadhus pray and the god appears, correct? So then these prayers, where will you find them? You will find them in the Atharva Veda. So these are all about the magical special prayers that are found in the Atharva Veda. All right, so these are the different Vedas that we have learnt about. Before we go for the quiz, I have prepared a small quick quiz. Okay, so please go through the video again if you have not paid attention. Just a brief recap: we have studied about how the Indo-Aryans came through the Hindu Kush mountains. Where did they come from? From Europe. Okay, somewhere around Poland they have migrated. Okay, this movement of the Indo-Aryans from Europe to India, and in between they have gone and settled in different places of the world, of the route. All right, so that is called as migration. What is it called as? Migration. So the Indo-Aryans migrated from Europe to India, and they first settled in the northern part of our country, on the northwestern part of our country, and they could be one of the reasons for the decline of the Indus Valley civilization. Then we also saw that they brought a lot of culture and religion and different ways of living. All right, so that is why it is called the Vedic age, because they changed the way India lived. All right, that is how we now live. A lot of huge population of our country lives like that. So the Vedic age, not exactly like that, but are influenced by the Vedas. All right, now how do we come to know about the Aryans? We come to know about the Aryans through the Vedas. All right, and what does Veda, where does the word Veda come from? Veda comes from the Sanskrit word Ved, which means knowledge, and Sanskrit was the language of the Aryans, and it has a script which we can understand because it is a language which was continued in India for a long time. Then we learned about the four Vedas. Rig Veda, which consists of prayers and which are offered to Indra god, the warrior god. Warrior means the fight. Okay, wars. So who's the god of wars and fights? It is Indra god. Okay, and god of fire is Agni, and also we learn about the som plant from which a special drink was made. So all this we learn about in the Rig Vedas. In the Sam Veda we learn about the collection of how to offer praise. Okay, so the method of offering praise according to the Vedas is in the Sam Veda. So that is what you learn about in the Sam Veda. Yajur Veda it consists of the methods, the specific methods to offer sacrifices to God to make God happy, and it is both in prose and in poem. All right, and finally Atharva Veda is the last set of Vedas which was written, and this set contains mainly of magical charms and invocations which people can offer to invoke God, to call God, okay, or the magical spirits. So these are the different Vedas. All right, now let's look at the quick quiz, and I hope you all have a pen and paper handy. Let me see how much attention you all have been paying. Let's see what happens. All right, write the answers, and then I have provided for the solutions, so you can always check your answers. Now the first question: Indus Valley civilization ended around dash. I had mentioned it in the initial slides, so please go back through the video. You will be able to find the answer. Indus Valley civilization ended around blank. The second statement: Indus Valley civilization was followed by the blank period. Now this I hope you all have understood, because it is the name of a lesson. All right, so think about it. Indus Valley civilization was followed by the blank period. Third, the dash give information about the Aryans. Okay, the blank give information about the Aryans. What gives us the information about the Aryans? Think about it. Can you remember what gives us the information about Aryans? Fourth, the Aryans came to India through the blank mountains. Through which mountains did the Aryans come to India? Alright, do you all remember those mountains? This is an easy one. I'm sure you must know the answer. The Aryans spoke blank language. The Aryans spoke blank language. And finally, the word dash originated from the Sanskrit word with meaning knowledge. I'm sure you all know this answer, correct? The word blank or dash originated means to come from. Okay, so where did the dash word come from? From which language did it come from? It came from the Sanskrit word with, which means knowledge. All right, I hope you all have written down the answers. Let's look at the answers. Okay, so the first one, the answer is Indus Valley civilization ended around 1700 BC. So what is the answer going to be? 1700 BCE. It is there on the right in the beginning of this video. Alright. Indus Valley civilization ended around 1700 BCE. What does BCE stand for? Before Common Era. Next, the Indus Valley civilization was followed by the Vedic period. Okay, what is the answer? Vedic period. Alright. Third, the Vedas give information about the Aryans. The Vedas give information about the Aryans. The fourth, the Aryans came to India through the Hindu Kush mountains. Through which mountains did they come from? Those mountains are called as the Hindu Kush mountains. Alright. The fifth answer, the Aryans spoke Sanskrit language. The Aryans spoke Sanskrit language. And finally, the word Vedas originated means to come from. Where did it come from? It comes from the Sanskrit word with, which means knowledge. Alright, so we're going to stop here today, go through the video again, understand how the Vedic society or the Vedic age came to India, how it started, where did it start, what did they bring, did they change the way Indians lived? Alright, so those are the things that we need to learn and remember from this video. Please go through it again and pay attention. In case of any doubts, please mail it to me. Based on the mails that I receive, I will have a doubt clearing session on Saturday. I will be putting out a video on Saturday. So any doubt related to these videos, please put up on send it to me via mail, and I will definitely answer it. I will have a clearing session on Saturday. Okay. As usual, all students of Pratibha International School, please remember to leave your name in the YouTube in the comment section right below the video. Alright, it has to be below this video so that I can mark you present. If you are not putting your name below this video, I will mark you absent. So please take care of that. Alright, another thing that I want to say is thank you all for subscribing and liking the videos. It gives me a lot of encouragement. So thank you so much. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.